Less than 30 seconds now in regulation. Could this take extra time? 16 seconds. Here's Dial. Send it up at the point, J. Lalu. Call midget now, but Matt, 6 seconds, 5, Dalfan coming out. He gets around in 2 seconds. He's got to do it quick. Jesus scores, 1 second left.
And here we are, episode, I think 3, right?
Yeah.
I think this is 3.
Number 3.
Hard to keep track already. I mean, I feel like I've done so many of them. So many people just like, do me next. When are we doing me? Who's
Everybody
next?
wants to be
Who's
in
coming
the
next?
spotlight.
Yeah, and man, I'm all supportive of that. But we gotta take some time. Let me and everybody else ease into it. No, but yeah, we're here with GiraffeKiller. For those of you who, I don't know how you wouldn't, but for those of you who don't recognize the voice, the one and only
How you doing?
GK. How's your night going, my man?
How it's going, man? I'm tired from work, but nothing out of the ordinary, really.
Must be nice
chilling.
not to like have to come home and feel like you got to rush on to get to some HQM game.
Yeah,
Babysit
no, it is
some
nice.
kids again, right?
Sometimes I can't wait for the off season to come because I get to come home, take my time, eat dinner like a person, not like a ravaged beast, and watch some TV, take it easy. So that's what tonight is for me. I get to take it easy. So
You are probably naturally one of the most easygoing people that I'm aware of. Till the booze starts flowing, then things get a little different. But up until then,
yeah,
you might have the
well,
highest level of patience out of anybody in this community, which is impressive. Very impressive, I gotta
think
say.
if anything, you're a close second. So.
Well, I try, but sometimes it gets to be a little too much.
Of course, of course.
We make it through.
That's it. So.
All right,
Oh,
so
boy.
GK,
Mhm.
GiraffeKiller, the man, the myth, the killer. You've been here since season 1 of the LHL, which is almost 4 years now. Can you believe that? You've been here
Don't remind
almost
me.
4 years.
Don't remind me. I've been hanging out with these kids for 4 years.
At least they change every now and then, right? You get some new ones in, so
yeah.
it's not all the same. You get some new faces, some new people to babysit for their parents,
fresh meat.
free of cost. Oh, fresh meat, yeah. That's a good way to look at it. So in that time, you've been a part of 7 LHL seasons, 10 RSL seasons, and 2 JSL seasons. And I've got it up here on our sheet, but I don't actually have it on the cast, so I want to talk about it real quick. You actually ran the LHL Players of the Week during season 1, and that used to come out during the early days of the weekly posts when we were still figuring out what the hell to do with them. We actually had separate weekly posts for every league, so there was like an LHL weekly post, an RSL weekly post, and an HQML weekly post before we merged them all together into one. But yeah, you and I think Fuzzy, right, took
That's
part
right.
in naming players of the week, which was pretty cool. It wasn't just like 3 stars. It was like who was the best all around, who was the best defenseman, who was the best goalie, who was the best teammate. I think, right?
Absolutely.
Am I missing any?
No, that's the one. Yeah. That's it. And that was part of us as a organization called the LHLPA, Players Association.
That was the start of that, right?
Right. Yeah, we were trying to be like a union, which I guess the closest thing to that nowadays is probably the BOA. So you can kind
Yeah.
of say maybe we were the grandfathers of that, but
Yep.
it was
And you were the
kinda,
first LHL PA, which again, Legends Hockey League Player Association. You were the first president of that, right?
That's right. Yep, I remember well.
Unfortunately dissolved. I think Acebulf was your executioner. I think his official title was, right?
Yeah,
He was the one who handed down the punishments and whatnot.
It's correct. Yeah, and I believe
Yeah.
Fuzzy was in there with me, and Sammy.
Ironically enough.
Ironically enough, indeed. And I think another guy, and I'm sorry if I'm forgetting. I'm sure there was another guy, but I
There
remember
probably
we had a
was.
case.
I wonder,
Yeah,
was
we had.
Taylor's part of it with you?
He might have been. He might have
He was
been.
pretty active in a lot of stuff back then, so it wouldn't surprise me because Taze and
Yeah,
I were still BOC at that time.
that's
So
right. Yeah, it was a good time. We would have meetings like once in a while, and I would show up with a real agenda, and it would kind of turn into nothing after a while.
yeah,
So
as most
much,
meetings tend to do.
right? So,
They weren't
but
actually as terrible as they are now. Like at one point there was actually constructive
oh
like
yeah,
commentary that would go on in discussion. It
oh yeah.
was good.
We needed to
Back in the
have
day.
that. In the early days, we needed that because we were still forming everything and
Oh yeah.
from the ground up. It's not like what we did with the RSL and the JSL, where we basically copied and pasted a league. Um, you know, and I was there for some of it. We basically fleshed out the rules from the ground up.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them coming from you and Days.
Everything in the
Um,
rule book is there because we had to write it to address something that came up. So
right.
the
Oh
rule
yeah, no,
book's
yeah.
now 18 pages long.
Yeah,
So here we are.
as time progressed, yeah, we ended up adding more and more stuff. But
Oh
I
yeah.
think those first few times meeting, that was very key to getting this and keeping this foundation that we have nowadays. So yeah,
I think the really funny thing, you can really see the progression. I think if you look at like the stat sheet on its own, like go back and look at like what we had for season 1 stats and then look at season 2 and season 3 and like as it progressed and turned into just a mess of I don't even know what. The draft board's another good one. Mess of I don't even know what into,
I don't even
something
want to look at
meaningful,
that.
something useful. So I still have the bookmarks to all that old
I
stuff.
used to,
It's
you used
hilarious.
to give me agita watching those, looking at those sheets.
Well, yeah, you're a spreadsheet guy, right, Sam?
Yeah,
That must have
yeah.
killed you
Oh
inside to
my
see that.
god.
I mean, they're still not as good as they could be, but at least like visually, they're much more appealing to
Oh
look
yeah.
at. So that
No, they're as
makes
good
it a
as they're
lot
gonna
better.
be. Yeah.
So, but yeah, fun times with GK. So actually, you are one of the oldest members of the community. Congratulations. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you're also old enough to have fathered some of the youngest people that have played this game. How's that make you feel? That's
You
my
know,
first question. How's that
it's
make
a
you
bit of
feel?
a bit of a turnaround for me actually, because when I started getting into online games, I was the young guy. I was the young community member. For example, I played this MMO. It was a text-based MMO, and back then most of the guys were like in their 30s and 40s, and I was all of maybe 14, 15. So you kind of wise up real fast around those
Oh yeah,
guys.
the same thing for me and WoW. That was my first like really big one, and I
Hmm.
ended up playing with a family that was from like Montana or something like that. I don't know, but
They
yeah,
got
it was
wife,
like the
husband,
yeah
kids.
yeah 2
No
kids.
kidding.
They had the uncle there too. The aunt would sometimes play as well, and everything I learned from them.
No kidding. That's something else.
Yeah.
But it is a turnaround for me. But I also kind of like it at the same time. Now that I see what they were going through when I was young and they were old, my old gaming friends there, and in a lot of ways, I like the fatherly role, so to speak. I like being the old guy and having
Used
the
to hop
advice.
into Ventrilo or IRC or whatever and start spamming soundboards. Is that
no, no, back in the day,
the
we
MO?
used MSN Messenger and AIM. We didn't really talk too much. I'm
AIM was
talking
the shit.
maybe I'm talking maybe 2003, maybe 2002 ish, that kind of time of
Oh
year.
wow. Well, there was
Yeah,
IRC back then, right?
there was, but most people had dial-up. Well, at least most of the people I knew, they had dial-up. So if you wanted to talk to each other, you may as well just pick up a phone and talk like that, because that was way better. It was the only way to do it. So, but yeah, we did IRC, we did AIM, we did MSN, Yahoo. For a little while, people were doing AOL as well. They had their own chat thing before they made AIM, and that's pretty much what we did. But I like it. I like being the old guy now. I have stories about everything. Somebody could tell me about one experience they had. I have 15 stories to tell you about that same experience. I can tell you a million things. And I just hope that, on a serious note, people hear the things that I tell them, the stories I give you, and the experiences I give you. Just learn from it,
Take
Take my
something away.
experiences and
Yep.
take something away. Even if it's a joke, take something out of it. I'm telling you something useful, one way or another. So,
The crazy old grandpa. All right, grandpa. Tell us more about Nam.
right? Yeah. Start making up things about bands I've never seen. Oh, shoot.
All right, before I keep getting ahead of myself, I want to make sure we talk about these real quick. Looking at your
Yeah.
career player statistics, so you started out as defense in the LHL and wound up switching to goalie, and you played pretty much exclusively goalie in the RSL for a 57% save rate, just under 3. Finally hit that with your last game, your last shutout yesterday. You got under 3 goals against average, so congratulations.
Beauty.
86 games played as an RSL goalie, pretty legit. You've appeared in 3 LHL finals now, 4 RSL finals, and a JSL finals as well. So that ties you for the most LHL, RSL, and JSL finals appearances with the likes of Dalfan and Taser. So that's some good company right there. You should be pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
not
lofty
the
company.
same winning rate, but you've been there. That's what matters, right? You've seen it. You've
Yeah.
experienced it
I've
firsthand.
been to the top of the mountain and I had
Oh
to
yeah.
crawl back down. It's all right.
But you have an RSL Cup. You won with Season 3 Toronto when there was affiliations still. Right?
Shout out to Nobody Epic and his wonderful brother Hades Lord 98.
Back in the 3v3 days of the RSL.
Right. Yep.
So as a GM, you've recently come back into GMing after not doing it for a long ass time. You've GM'd 1 LHL season, New York Rangers, and then you've GM'd 3 RSL seasons, twice as Hartford, and then I'm forgetting what the third one was. Oh, New York.
I
Right.
took over.
When you were the LHL
Yeah,
GM.
that's right.
I wasn't
that's
counting
right.
the season you took over, yeah. But
Mhm.
when you were the LHL GM, you're also the RSL GM that season because of the affiliations. So, but you GM'd for 39 RSL regular season games, about a 46% win rate, which is, I mean, that's respectable. Probably more than I'd have, to be honest. So,
Oh man, most of those wins come from this season too, which is kind of crazy.
out of the
So
18 wins you have, I think you won 11 this season. So, well,
that's quite.
the first iteration of Hartford didn't go very well. So,
Yeah, that's being
this,
kind of you.
yeah, this, you weren't completely defeated, right? So
No,
they,
we made the playoffs actually. If they,
didn't everybody make the playoffs back then?
yeah, no, but we made them too. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Whether or not we made them. You can leave it there, okay? You don't have
You made the playoffs. There you go. There you go.
Oh man, yeah. Well, my GM statistics aren't as colorful as my player statistics, but I'm hoping to pick that up. I actually want to GM again next season, and I've already made that clear to Louis and a few other people that I want to give it a go again. Of course, if I'm given the opportunity to do it. And you're right. It's been a long time since I GM'd 9 seasons. I want to say
Yeah.
it's been since I've officially GM'd a team, and um, yeah, I felt that this season was time to get in. I felt the RSL was in the right place to do it for me, and I felt I was in the right place as a player to actually do it because to GM you can't just be a shitty player. You gotta you gotta do well. If you're gonna play
Yep.
yourself, or you're basically the very first pick. Whether you like it or not. If
Yeah,
you
exactly.
aren't, pick one. So or pick 0, maybe you want to say. So yeah. I'm
Well,
hoping maybe another 2 or 3 seasons we can do this again, and my my statistics will look a little bit better.
if only there was a stat for knowledge imparted on the youth of HQM, you'd be leading the league in that, my man.
Oh yeah, without a
But
doubt.
I think you did end up leading in save percentage and goals against average in the
Yeah.
RSL this season, right? So
Spoiler alert. Yeah, I'm gonna take it for the first time.
congratulations.
Took
See
me
if you
4
get
years.
the best goalie award. I know Sully's
Ah,
competing with you for that.
I
So
don't want
it's
it. I don't want it. I think Sully deserves it. Honestly,
You don't want you telling me after winning save percentage and best goals against average, you don't want to win best goalie?
No, I don't. I want Sully to win it. I do. I like him a lot. He's one of my oldest friends here in the game, and he had
You
to
don't
do
mean
it with a
age-wise, right?
No, no, no. I mean, like in time I've known him. I've known him for
I'm just giving you
pretty
shit
much.
because he's like, I think he's 19. He's the
Yeah,
oldest
no.
friend I have in the community.
And, you fellow goalies, it's like
The brotherhood.
you ever. It's kind of like if you're driving in a car and a guy pulls up next to you. You don't know him, and he doesn't know you, but you look at each other and you just kind of, you go, "Hey, how you doing?" You don't really, you just kind of nod and keep going. It's that same relationship with goalies in the league. It's like you have respect for each other, but not like a special thing all the time. Either way, I think Sully deserves it because he had a little bit less to work with than I did. I had the top 3 scorers for like the entire season and a pretty rock
I think
solid
his team missed the
defense.
playoffs in the end, right?
Right. So it's no you know disrespect to his team and the individuals on it. I just think that as a whole, they didn't do as well as my team, and the
Well, he was
fact that
just
he got
barely behind you, I think, in the save percentage at least, and like
exactly,
barely behind you. And
yeah,
then there was a difference of like 7 wins between the team or something like that.
yeah,
Maybe it's a little
exactly.
extreme. Might be like 5 or 6,
So,
but still.
so if you swapped him and I, put him in on my team and me on his team, I guarantee you he would have won. So I think he deserves the best. I'll take the save percentage and the goals against. That's perfectly fine. He deserves
More than
best goaltender.
satisfactory.
Oh
What a
yeah,
guy.
way
What a
more than.
good guy. BK, best dude in the community. But we already knew that. So you mentioned that you sort of got into gaming like 15 years ago now with text-based MMOs. So I'm wondering, when did you get into the sport of hockey?
Well, I got into hockey. Well, let me back it up. I've always been a little bit of a fan. One of the, mm, excuse me, one of my very early favorite games was NHL '94, and I didn't really follow hockey. I knew about hockey. I knew the big guys' names and things like that, but I didn't really follow it until about 4 or 5 years ago. I want to say the 2011-12 run that the Rangers made there, and ended up losing to the Devils. But um, I'll give you the full story. So I had a buddy back then, and he was a big burly guy, and he'd come over on Sundays with a 6-pack, and we would sit down and watch football together. And during halftime, we'd play music or a little bit of video games, and then we'd watch football. Usually fall asleep or something like that. The season ended, and he says to me, "Yeah, now we get to watch the Rangers." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it. I don't care." I was trying to be like a sport kind of guy. I wanted to get into it and be that dude, with the jerseys on the walls and stuff like that. I never really was that guy, and we've watched our first game together in a bar, and I went nuts. I mean, alcohol was definitely a player, but I thought it was insane because it was
Who's to say,
nonstop action.
really?
Yeah, right. It was probably a little part of it, but it was different from any other sports that I watched. Like I watched baseball as a kid, I watched football as an adult, and then I started watching hockey in my later adult years, and it was it was so different. It's constant energy. I mean, people. I don't have to play it up for anybody here in the community. They know the game for the most part. So it was about then that I got into hockey for real and started studying it and learning it and enjoying it. And if I could kind of remember probably the one moment that kept me really into hockey, it would have to be in the again that 2011-2012 playoff run that the Rangers had. There was a 3 OT playoff game, and it was on the night before I had to go to work, and I just couldn't turn the damn TV off. I remember being up till like 2 in the morning just watching this game, and so excited, and I couldn't sleep. Even if I tried to turn the TV off, I would just wake back up and turn it back on again. So that had to be what really hooked me in for good. sunk their claws into me, so to speak.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people have an experience similar to that.
Oh, I'm
It's
sure.
usually somebody else, some friend or family member that really gets you in.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing. Yeah, my family was never into hockey. In New Yorkers, nobody really follows hockey in New York. We have a good fan base, but we also have 6 million people. So I mean, you know,
Kind of hard not to have a fan base.
you
Yeah.
know, you look at a packed MSG that's not even like an apartment building worth of people. So it's you know, my family was baseball and football, that sort of thing. Maybe a little golf once in a while, but never hockey. So it was not until 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. Hmm.
We'll shift gears a bit, then get back into gaming. What is your favorite genre of games, and what is your favorite game of all time?
Oh boy, yeah, that's one I had to think about for a while. It's changed over the years. Like when when I was really young, it was like well, I'm talking when I was a child. It was fighting games, like action games, that kind of thing. Mario, of course. Everybody loved Mario when I was a kid. They still do today. Um, when I got into my teenage years, it was more about like Tony Hawk, um, Tony Hawk Pro Skater,
Yep,
all of them, every one
great
of them,
games.
all the way through, all of them. And I slowly started getting into FPSs as well, um, more so around my high school years, and that's partly due to the fact that I was in a networking class, so we were doing the LAN kind of thing, and we were playing the first Counter Strike and other games as well. But really, that's the one that people were hooked on. Um, I also played SOCOM, not on a PC, but on a PS2, I think it was, as well as Halo, that kind of thing. And now, as an older man, I like things that don't frustrate me. I like like games that are
Why do you
easy
play
going.
HQM then? Jesus,
Right,
man.
exactly. Yeah, HQM is the only thing that I play this day that's really competitive. And you could make the argument that NHL 18 or 17 is competitive, but it's not. It's really not. You just go in and you act like an idiot, and then you hope to win. There's really nothing much there, at least for me, in
I don't know,
terms of
man.
competitiveness.
You and I have some friends that take it quite seriously, so
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm not naming
we get
names,
a
Tony.
couple. Yeah, we get a
I'm
couple.
not. I'm not
Ace.
gonna name a single guy Ace. Yeah, no, it's okay. We don't have to call him out, Doc, or anybody like that. That's not. Let's be nice.
Of course, of course. Don't want to drop names. Yeah.
So, but outside of HQ, I mean that I like. I still like text-based MMOs. Um, I like idle games, like Clicker
Clicker
Heroes.
Heroes, yeah.
Not
5,000
just that.
hours yet?
Yeah, almost. I think I'm at 4,600. Things like that. Even that Cookie Clicker game was kind of fun for a while. And I like Flash games too, like just
Oh, those were the
browse.
best.
Yeah, just browser-based Flash games. It's simple little games that you just come, you fiddle, you play for like 5-10 minutes, and then you go off and do something else. You know, I like that stuff because I get home from work, I just want to relax. Like I told you earlier, I just want to take it easy. I'm all pent up from the day and dealing with all kinds of wild things, and then when I get home, I just want to relax, just enjoy my time, and play a game that relaxes me. And believe it or not, hockey. I mean, outside of league night, it helps, to just get in and kill your mind for a little while, and it is relaxing to me at least.
Oh, it'll
So
kill a lot more than just your mind.
yeah, oh yeah, without a doubt. um, to answer the latter part of your question about my favorite game of all time, probably NHL '94. Um, and if not that, I guess a close second would have to be one of the Tony Hawk's games. Um, I could still, to this day, pick up a controller, any controller you like, and play the living heck out of Tony Hawk, and I do it well too. It's just
Would you
something
be the best Tony Hawk player in the community?
likely, yeah, honestly, not even to toot my own
I've
horn,
heard
and
rumors. I've heard
you know,
rumors of your skill.
and I'm
Legend
not
has it.
I'm not the kind of person that will, toot my horn and be conceited, but That's one thing I will crush anybody in this community on. I've been doing it I've been playing that game for almost as long as most people have been alive in this community. Okay, so let's just leave it there. So,
One day
day
you and I will
one.
be like that with HQM too.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
Be in our 50s.
Right.
Back in my day, 110 seasons ago,
You just have to use the mouse to swap.
we used to only play 5v5.
HQM VR, and you.
Fucking 10v10, 3 pucks, 6 nets, but only 2 goalies. You're gonna get something crazy like that one day, right?
I'm sure.
So, how did you first discover HQM?
Right, that's a great question because it harkens back to how I even got into hockey in the first place. I wouldn't have discovered HQM if my buddy hadn't gotten me into hockey. Um, so he gets me into hockey. I'm looking all over for it. I'm trying to just absorb, and I end up subscribing to the hockey subreddit. And I would have only found out about Reddit if I would have hung out with that guy as well, because one of his other buddies came along one day, introduced me to Reddit, and so 2 and 2, gotta go see the hockey subreddit, and that's what I did. And I was constantly on it, just looking for news and updates and all kinds of things like that, like a normal, shit stain does these days. And uh, I saw the recruitment post. I want to say it was the one that Dalfan put up.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
that got
yeah,
me too. Yeah.
that one got you too, right? And
Oh yeah.
so I saved the thread, or I saved the bookmark the game or something like that, and I actually didn't play it for almost a week, maybe less than that, but around about that much time. And so I downloaded it and I played, and I don't really remember a whole lot about the first few games. And like I'm sure I was terrible, like everybody else was at that time. But I then saw the LHL thing starting to form, and believe it or not, I wasn't going to play. I didn't think I was good enough at all to even consider doing league play. And it was Tim Barrett that convinced me to sign up. So I did. And I thought it was because he thought I was good enough, and it's really probably not the truth. In retrospect, he was just probably trying to get people to join just to have bodies in there. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, I saw the recruitment post and I downloaded the game, and after a few days I played it, and I thought it was so fun. I still think it's fun, but there was something like magical back then. Honestly, like loading that game up for the first few times and just like, yeah, I've never played a game like that before, where the mouse is your stick and you can move with the keyboard. I'd played NHL games on the Super Nintendo and PS1 and things like that, but it was never like fluid the way this game is. And even like I said back then, we were all terrible, but I don't know about you, but I felt it. I felt like there was something there, you know, like
Definitely.
you know. But that's pretty much how I figured I found it. And if it wasn't for Tim Barrett, you guys probably wouldn't be hearing my voice right now, which is that's kind of crazy on its own.
I don't like to think of that reality, GK. I don't like to think of the world in which we don't have your calming presence.
Well, I might have joined season 2 and gave Lucic a run for best
Best rookie.
best rookie.
Yeah.
So I
So
guess thank you, Tim Barrett, for bringing me aboard.
there you go. Everybody send him messages. I think on Reddit he's like Tim_Barrett, and then there's a number at the end. I can't remember. Maybe I'll look it up and put it. I'll tag him when I post
Right.
this thread to
You should.
Reddit.
You
Post
should.
the video there. I'll tag him. I'll say thanks for GK. You're the reason we have
Yeah.
GK.
Yeah.
So staying along the lines of the early days of your career and of the LHL as well, you started out as a defenseman, as I mentioned earlier. What made you switch to goalie in the end?
Oh man.
Seems like a lot of people go the other way. I feel like a lot of people
Yeah.
start as something else, switch to goalie, and then go back to skater. You went to goalie and stayed there.
Yeah, promptly, firmly planted in the goalie position nowadays. There's one word to explain why. I switched to goalie, and it's Taser. That's the reason why. Um, as you know, and maybe some other people know, in the early seasons of LHL, RSL as well, it was 4v4. Um, it was 4-on-4. So you had one goaltender, one defenseman, and two forwards. As a defenseman on a team with Taser, you weren't really going to get ice time. It just wasn't going to happen for you. Um, he was
Well, we
and
had
still
Burn
is.
too back then.
Oh yeah. So
Burn
that's
and
another
Taze
guy.
used to split time as well there. So
Yeah. So yeah, that's another guy I had to find time over, and I knew it wasn't going to happen. I could tell they were clearly amazing players, and they were, and they still are. So what I noticed is that Sammy would miss games sometimes, and we didn't really have a whole lot of depth there. I don't think we even had a backup early on in the season. Um, you could probably tell me yes or no, but
it was Robo was the other
it
one.
was Robo,
Robo
right?
Mayhem was the
And
backup goalie for that
how
team.
much did we see of him? So
Yeah,
so
a little
there
too
was
much actually for my taste.
You're probably right.
You didn't hear that from me. No proof.
So I saw an opening and I took it. I figured, hey, why not? Let's give it a shot. And I've always liked the goalie position. It's always been like a bit of a mysticism to it to me, in that you're this guy who could pretty much a big lump of the game is on your back, especially these days in 5v5 era. You got two guys focusing on offense and you got two guys focusing on defense, and there's only one guy in net. And a lot of times that guy in the net can make or break the entire season. I mean,
Yep.
you've seen it yourself. So it's something. It's also the just how difficult it is. I kind of like that it's hard to do. Um, and when you do really well at it, it feels so much better than any other position. Um, Maybe I can't speak as much about offense, despite that one game you played me at offense. Um, Finding success at goaltending is leagues better than finding success at any other position, and I can almost guarantee that. So that's why I made the switch, and I wish I did it sooner, honestly.
And you did it in season 2, right? So you only spent one season as a true
Oh yeah,
defenseman. So
yeah. I wish I had gotten into it sooner, um, because in season 1 I played half the season with the Devils, half the season with Dallas.
Yep.
And I did play maybe 2 games at goalie for Dallas, so I got that taste, that little piece in my mouth to see what it's
funnily
like.
enough, you were on that team playing D with K-Bomb. The two of you were the defensive subs on the Dallas team.
Yeah, I
Both
remember that
became
well.
goalies later on.
Yeah, I remember that. And he was mad because he wanted to be an offensive guy. So he kept getting stuck at defense. So,
I was looking back through a post the other day, and I saw he had a game where he had 2 goals and an assist as a defenseman, and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, K-Bomb. Get it done, boy.
Good man. Good
Yep.
man. So before Dallas, I was on the Devils, and we had Jarvin. And to me, Jarvin, and I feel like we should talk about it later as well. Jarvan was amazing to me. Like, and maybe some other people too will agree. Probably one of the first goalies that a lot of people saw, like, actually make saves.
Yeah, he
like real saves.
he, T-Lors, Big V, those were like 3 of the big guys. Sammy as well. Those were the early goalies of
Right.
the LHL.
So I wish I had gotten into it sooner to maybe, like, pluck a little knowledge from him. I don't know if it had made a difference or not, but I wish I did. So.
All right, yeah, we'll get into that a little more later, looking at other goalies and whatnot. But for now, I want to take a look at your entire career in retrospective. So everything back from season 1 to yesterday. What would you say is the defining moment of your career? Or you could spin this as well if that's a tough one to answer. What is your favorite moment of your career? So whichever one is easier for you.
Right. Well, funny thing, by the way, not to take you too far off topic, my
Go
mouse
ahead, man.
died. My mouse died maybe 5 or 10 minutes after the game yesterday. It was like an omen. It was like, you've done it. You're finished. And then the mouse was went to shit. Like the scroll doesn't work. It's acted all wonky, and it didn't go bad until after the game. Just kind of crazy.
That timing.
Yeah, perfect. Actually, perfect. So, yeah, defining moment of my career is really tough. Because in my career there really hasn't been a whole lot to show for. I've made the finals all those times, and I could probably pick and choose teams out of that were amazing for me. But if I had to pick my favorite or defining moment, it'd have to be the season 6 playoffs in the RSL with Manitoba. Without a doubt, that actually got me back into the game. That whole thing, and it's a lot of stuff. It's the players on the team. We're talking Monty, we're talking Tony, Ace, Marchie, Hattrick, people we all hang out with today. I still keep in touch with all of these guys. And not only that, I hadn't played the season before. Monty basically texted me to come and play, so I did, and it kind of rejuvenated me, like got me back into the game. So if there's anything that defines my career, it's that, because that's what brought me back. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have come back at all after season 5. In fact, I didn't even get drafted in season 6 because I was busy off doing other things.
So there's another person to thank along with Tim. You can thank Monty now.
Oh, without a doubt, you can thank Monty big time. Yeah, he just texted me that he needed a guy. I told him he could if he absolutely needed somebody. I knew that the other guy on the team wasn't making it. I want to say it was Mole Rat. But getting back into the game and getting to know those guys, making friends with them, it totally rejuvenated me and made me a way better player. And that was half my career ago now, pretty much. Yeah, about half, a little more than it. So that has to be it. And we made it all the way to the finals, which was amazing. I still think we should have won, but that's okay. We all had a wonderful time, and that's really what counts for me. So, yeah, that has to
Just
be
lost
it.
to Iowa, right?
I think so. Yeah,
That
Iowa.
was a stacked team, though. I mean, that had
Yeah.
Mark, defenseman Jerry, that had Tidge, that had, I think, Goalie on it, or Goalie was GMing it, maybe. That had Meatsail on it, so that had some like big name
Yeah.
players that turned out to be very good.
Yeah, all guys who made it into the LHL. Number of them currently have cups or
Zod
multiple
was on
cups.
it too.
Zod is another big name. He was amazing in the RSL for a while there. Not a lot of people know that. But yeah, it was a stacked team, but they were also going up against a team that had incredible amounts of chemistry. We did so much together. We played all kinds of games together. We hung out in the TS and we chatted all night, and I had never done that with a team until up to that point, not to that level at least. I hadn't really enjoyed the company of others in the game as much as I did with those guys, and it taught me a lot about the game, not just how to play it, but how to approach it mentally, and how to use your relationships to your advantage and build actual real chemistry. So, oh yeah, absolutely has to be a defining favorite moment of my career.
I think I've heard that team referred to as a sensual brotherhood more than once. So
Yeah,
take that for
true.
what you will. Sounds
Yeah.
little homosexual to me.
A little tiny bit,
Little bit.
I'm hoping, by the way, and I don't want to jinx it, but I'm hoping that another defining moment of my career can be this season's end. Shout out to my boys, of course, but it remains to be seen. Of course, we're gonna see.
Well, it's arguably the best season you've ever had, right, as an individual?
Statistically, it is. Yeah, statistically, it is. It is my best season ever. So, this has to be the one. It's gotta be. So,
Would you say that's
the
favorite team you've ever been a part of?
This
Manitoba
one or
season 6?
Manitoba season 6? Hey, yeah, it had to be my favorite team for sure. Was it the best team? No, not at all. but it was my favorite team for sure. Um, uh, yeah, oh goodness, I still love all of those guys, and I knew Hat-Trick before that season. I drafted him. Actually, I knew Monty as well before that season. I drafted them both in season 3 LHL, season 2 RSL, to play on my RSL's team. Um, so I knew them. I knew them all. Actually, no, I apologize. Hat-Trick came in season 4. So either way, I knew them before then, and we were nowhere near as close as we are now after going through that season. So it has to be my favorite. And I'm sorry, I know we played together in season 2.
No, it's
we had
okay. It's
we had a
okay.
really good time.
I
But
understand that the way that ended, it's hard to look back fondly on that team.
I still love those guys though. Sammy, I wish he would come back and play full time. Like I really wish, because he was so good. Oh, he was so good.
He turned out to be a pretty good defenseman too.
Oh, is that true? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did the same thing Dalfan did. Left goalie, went to play D, and then ended up winning a cup with him
success.
later on down the road. He was on defense. He was pretty good.
No
Pretty
kidding.
good guy. So flip side of the coin. Ready for this one? This might be difficult in a different way. What
Oh
is the
boy.
biggest regret you have about your career?
Oh yeah. Oh man. So okay.
Lay it on me. Lay it on
All right.
thick.
Number. No. I'm not gonna do that. No. Okay. One would have to be not moving to goaltender sooner. Like I said earlier, I really wish I did that sooner. I wish I had upgraded my rig a little bit more to enjoy the game better and actually progress at it. But in terms of the actual gameplay and my interactions with others, I have no regrets whatsoever. And it's because I try to do my best to just learn from everything, learn from every mistake, every wrongdoing, every good thing, every bad thing. Um, and when you start regretting things, you put up all these walls around yourself. You end up dwelling on it. There's no point in doing that. You know, I've we talked about the stats earlier. I've been to the finals 8 times. I've come out with a win once. You know, if anybody should have regrets, it's me, and I don't. I don't have a single one because every one of those trips, every one of those experiences, and every one of those teams had something to teach me as a person, as a player, as a member of the community. So no regrets. I have none. I have zero regrets for this game. Maybe I regret playing it as much as I did, but no, that's not it. No regrets whatsoever.
I wish I shared that sentiment because I got a list. I got a list. One day I'll go through it.
Oh, I'd be excited to hear that. Yeah. Oh
Oh
yeah.
God.
Oh yeah. Just interview yourself and then.
Somebody else said that too. That would be so bizarre. Like there's gotta be a better way of doing that.
You should record the questions in a deeper voice and then. It's the older Dyaloreax.
Yeah, me from the future. Me to past me. Oh my goodness.
Maybe one regret would be that, honestly, that I didn't play as much. My time does have its constraints, but I could have played more, and I could probably practice more these days as well. So maybe that's a bit of a regret. So I'm trying to make up on that. But would it have made me any better? Maybe not. It's hard to tell, honestly. Um, I don't really get good at games like that anymore. You know, like it just doesn't come to me anymore like it used to. And it's probably because of the time that I don't spend on the game. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's one regret, that I didn't spend enough time practicing. so, so that's a lesson for all the young players out there. You want to be good? You want to not spend 13 seasons trying to get to the top? Play. Just keep playing. Play as much as you can. Even if there's a pub and you can't get in, wait for it to open up, or go play by yourself and just shoot pucks into the net. Whatever it takes to get better. Just do it. Do it. So
Along
that's
the
about it.
same lines, is there anything else you wish you had accomplished So this is like could be winning an award, winning one of those cups, succeeding and not coming back to the game, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of those 8, I wish I won 8 finals appearances.
Would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would have been nice. Yeah. I wish that I was better sooner. I don't think that I'm good enough quite yet, but I wish I was as good as I am now back then. I don't know. I mean, you know, all of the shortcomings and the terrible play and all of the experiences, they all come together to form who I am right now today. Um, Maybe if I was so successful early on, I wouldn't be such a nice person either. I don't know. I don't know that for sure. So, um, I don't. You know, I maybe wish I GM'd a little bit more. Made the time to do that, and I wish I didn't take time off from the game either. Um, Season 5, I should have come on more and enjoyed the game, but it is what it is. I'm not
Yep.
gonna harp on it. So.
Yep.
So.
All right.
Ah.
Was there ever a role model you looked up to as a player?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt. We said his
here
name
we
several
go.
times. It's K-Bomb for sure. It's got to be way up there for me. And it's because I've seen him just pull games out of his ass, and he has a history of just having really awesome seasons and then really bad seasons, and he just kept going at it and keeping moving. And so for me, that's the kind of player I want to be. I want to be that guy who just doesn't quit, doesn't back down, and no matter how many times I lost, I'm still going to come back next season and try again and try again. And it's worked for him for the most part, and so I look up to him for that. Dalfan for sure is one of those guys. Everybody has got to look up to him in some kind of way, I think, because he's incredibly successful at the game, and at multiple positions too, that's insane to me. That
Very hard to do. Yeah.
you could be a successful goalie, a successful
Hard to be
D-man.
that good at one position, let alone two.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure if you put him on offense, he'll figure that shit out too. So let's see. We can pretend in an alternate universe that he did play offense, and I promise he would have done amazingly well. So that's a guy you really should look at and watch. Early on, it had to be Jarvin and Sammy. Big V, not so much. He was one of the better goalies, but I didn't really get to see him as much.
You were on teams with Sammy and Jarvin, so it does make a big difference.
Right, exactly. I got to watch them, in the early days when, people were still figuring things out, like do these incredible things and have bad nights too and watch them handle that. Like, I remember the bad nights with Sammy where we just weren't having a good game and he was just not having a good game, and he would just go quiet and calm himself, take it easy, wouldn't lose his temper or lose his cool or anything like that, and he would just weather the storm. And even if he lost, that was it. But that taught me a little bit about the game, and that you need to be patient, especially as a goaltender. You can't let anything hurt you. Don't let it hurt your feelings. Just keep moving, keep trucking through. So it has to be those 4 guys. Yeah.
The thing I probably respect Sammy the most for, I don't know if you remember this, but during the season 2 playoff run, he actually started taking classes that overlapped with our game times.
Oh,
and so for the 2 rounds of the playoffs, semifinals and the finals, he was playing from a lecture hall. He had his laptop out. He couldn't talk to us in TeamSpeak or anything. He'd whip out his laptop and play the playoff games, like with a headset on and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like in a lecture hall. Like,
yeah, I remember that actually. I do remember that. So there you go. That's a lesson for everybody. He's a guy who made it anyway. I don't want to hear this junk about whatever's going on with you tonight. Make the damn game. It's 15 minutes long. Sammy did it from a lecture hall. So you can do it too. There's other guys in the community that play from the library and stuff like that. The only one that comes...
Schmitty used to play from McDonald's. He used to have to drive up to McDonald's to play.
Oh my gosh. I think DeBeezy plays from Starbucks sometimes or something like that, or a few other guys who do that. So I have respect for those guys that they make it. They show up, They don't complain. They just do it. You know? So those are role models for me too.
So who do you
So
think is the best goalie to ever play the game? I'm gonna
that's
force
so.
you to pick one too. You
Uh
can't give me three. You can't say it'd be one of these, but you got to give me who you think is the
The
best.
best to ever play, man. I had 4 names written down, ready to
You got to pick
fire off.
one. I'm gonna force you to do it.
Oh man. Oh darn it.
Why
I
don't
gotta.
go ahead and list the four, and
Yeah.
maybe I can help you pick one.
Well, and I did this. I did this real rapidly, and it was K-Bomb, Dalfan, PK, and Nargila as well. Nargila, especially for what he did in the RSL, um, he has amazing stats in the RSL, and he was an amazing goalie there. So probably Narg, actually. Then, yeah, I have to think it's Narg because I'm in that same league. I haven't really left it. I play some LHL, but really an RSL guy, and he was amazing in the RSL. So I'd have to pick Narg, I think, and I also like him a lot as a person too. So he's a,
I have
he's a
to.
character.
I'm gonna have to let him know that you said that. Make sure he watches to hear this. I don't know if
Yeah,
he actually listens to these usually, but
yeah,
I
I
have to
don't
let him
know.
know. Take a listen. Or
Yeah. So, but those are the 4 guys that, in my opinion, that shaped me as a goalie, in terms of how I play, my play style, my approach to the game. Um, PK actually taught me a few things about goaltending, and I don't know if he remembers it or not, but him and Lucic put together that class, and I wholeheartedly attended and hoping to learn some stuff, and I did. I actually did. So he showed me like some better positioning things, and it's made a world of a difference for me as a goaltender. So big shout out to him for sure.
definitely an excellent goalie in his own right. He actually taught me a lot too. He's one of the first people when I started playing, one of the only people that had actually played the game before that was willing to give me any sort of advice or work with me. I used to
Oh
stay up
yeah,
really late with him, late at night during season one, working to
nice.
get better. And yeah, he's, like I said, probably the only one actually that I can think of that like
But
really was willing and happy to help in any way. So,
right, patient and talk you through it.
oh
For
yeah,
me,
huge props to him.
and it wasn't for goaltending; it was just for general playing and enjoying the game. For me, that'd be Dick McButts and Bava, um, and a few other people for the people coming in and out. But we stayed up so late, just on the weekends, of course, and we would just do static passing. I'd sit in net, and they would do their weird, crazy, throwing it in the air and swatting it out and all of that crazy stuff they used to do. That helped me a lot. That they let me sit there and play goalie, and they dealt with me being just a drunken mess all the damn time, and typing all kinds of slurs and shit in chat. So, so, so that's another set of people that I have to give major props to, for letting me, have a good time with them. So,
Who's your favorite player to ever play with or to watch play? One or the other.
right. So, as a goaltender, you you tend to gravitate towards your D men. At least I do, and you really want to make friends with those guys. You really want to get to know their style, what they like, how they are as people, and try to kind of form some kind of connection with them, some chemistry. And for me, it's another set. I got to give you 2 people again. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Right now, it's got to be Segregers for sure. He's the workhorse. I rely on him for so much. He more than deserves his AGM title. Um, I think I spoke about it the other night. He's up there in the mix in the offensive zone, watching all of that go down, and I'm all the way in the back. I can't tell what's going on up there, so I rely on him to do a lot of that, analysis for me, and I let him have his words in the chat, in the team speak, whatever he has to say, whatever he wants to tell the team in terms of advice. I let him go with it, and I love to watch him play because he puts everything he's got into the game, and if he doesn't do well, it holds like such a cloud over him, um, and it won't go away until the next time he plays. And his goals are amazing. They're always from the point. They're always flying in at crazy speeds. He tries so hard. Yeah, and a guy like that you got to respect, just for the amount that he puts into the game. Um, the second guy in that same category would have to be Dr. Germs. I played with Germs for 3 seasons in a row. Um, I want to say it was, what are we in, 13? So it was 10, 9, and 8. All 3 seasons in a row we played together. One of the most chill, down-to-earth guys you'll ever meet. And I don't know how well you know him, but absolutely, easy to get along with. A lot like me. He just kind of just goes with the flow, and incredibly dedicated and skilled in the game. Um, so those are my favorite people to play with. To watch, it's gotta, yeah, I gotta pick the easy answer. And Matt, I mean, especially when he was really good, and he would, come on and he would basically put a show on for people in the HQML, some of the LHL games, but pubs specifically, he was just like incredible. Nobody could hold a candle to what Matt used to be able to do, even to this day. So I'm sorry to give you like so many people.
No, it's okay. Sorry.
It's so hard to pick one guy,
Oh,
or
I
in some
agree.
cases it's one team, and especially when you've been around this long. Like, how do you pick one person? So so I'm sorry.
All right, I'll accept that answer. So good enough, I guess. Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
work with it.
yeah.
See what we can do with it.
I'm also that kind of guy. This is another tangent, but I'm the kind of guy I don't pick favorites in anything really. I always have like 2 or 3 different things I like about
Don't
something.
tell me Doc's not your favorite.
He's one of my favorites for sure.
It's like a good father, not picking any favorites.
Oh yeah, no chance, no chance. So what else you got for me, huh?
All right, so last couple questions here, but these are going to be a lot more open-ended. I want to hear some in-depth analysis from you. Okay, you ready?
Oh boy. Okay.
All right. So first one, do you think the RSL was better before it was 5v5? So do you think it was better as like 4v4 or 3v3?
At first, I did. At first, when we made the switch to 5v5, I thought it was a humongous mistake. I thought it was the worst thing that we could do for the development of the league. And then I I was wrong. I believe I was way wrong. I thought now I think that it was the best thing we did. Um, so I do think it's better now that we are 5v5. I think it's better that we are aligned in all 3 leagues: LHL, RSL, JSL. Um, you know, the JSL, the RSL, they're not going to prepare you all the way for the skill level that you're going to see in the LHL. And you will see it. Coming up from the RSL or from the JSL, you play one game of LHL and you'll know why it is the top league, and you'll know why it's so hard to get in. It's a completely different atmosphere. We went over the stats the other night, actually. I told you that in the RSL, as a goaltender, you average maybe 5 saves a game. In the LHL, or I apologize, it's 5 shots per game. In the LHL, it's 7 or 8. So believe me, that's a big difference when you're only playing 15 minutes of game. Um,
It's almost a
so do I think it's
50% increase, right? I mean, it's a
yeah,
big
yeah,
difference.
it's humongous, and you'll never get the 2 leagues close enough so that you can move players in and out, seamlessly, and have the same skill level, as a result. So that's fine, but uh, where we are now is as good as it's going to get. You're gonna have people that are gonna play the RSL, rise above, clearly rise above, and they're gonna get cherry picked to be into the LHL. And that's been happening for the past few seasons, actually. Um, it's part of why the RSL is kind of colored the way it is right now, in that we're in sort of a new phase, like a newer player phase, where we have more players who just got out of the JSL and are just now starting to play starter leagues. Whereas in the LHL, you have RSL guys who are becoming starters now and putting up big numbers all the time. So I think it was a fantastic choice. Back then, I thought it wasn't. Now I do.
So building off that, sorry, do you think that the RSL and JSL are successful right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I do. I do. Maybe there's a few things that could change, but
What
I
would you
think
change if you could?
right. It's less the game and more the people. you know,
Makes
and
sense.
yeah,
The
honestly, you can't.
mentality.
Yeah, you can't change people. That's true. But you can change their thinking and influence their opinion. Um, and even then, you'll never get it to where you want. And part of it is a game. All right, so you're gonna have immaturity from younger players, younger people, and it is competitive at the same time. Um, there's some really competitive people in this community. I won't name names this time for real, but there's some people who really get into the game and they just lose their brains. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
And that's fine. That's actually okay. You could be that way. That's how you got to be. Um, but for the most part, people just have to remember that you're you're dealing with a real person behind that computer. I don't know if you realize this, but it just because it doesn't affect you just because you don't see the effect visually, believe me, you are affecting people when you say that terrible thing you said, or you act that certain way you did, or you make that certain move on the ice to just seem a little shittier. You're affecting people, and people have to just kind of remember that and do unto others, so to speak. Um, that's what I would change, and that would make the, a great difference because that would open up all kinds of doors for people. People would be more than willing to sit with each other and learn from each other, respect each other. Take for example our first few seasons in the LHL and the RSL. Back then, everybody knew each other. Everybody knew who was who. There was really no hatred, aside from that one incident with Iskin.
Oh,
So
good God.
I I don't really remember a whole lot of
Uh,
hatred, you know, aside from that. But uh, like you said, PK took the time to sit with you. Baba took the time. Mick Butts took the time to sit with me. I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there who have their guy that they took time to sit with and be a friend to. You don't see that so much nowadays. You don't really get that same camaraderie these days. And if, things like what we're doing right now, me and you, that will uh, pave the way to bringing that back. So I hope it does,
yeah,
and
me too.
that's the one thing I hope that changes. It'll open up so many doors for us in terms of competitiveness, in terms of just quality of the game. Uh, Cryptic will love us again. You know?
Yeah.
But that's the bright future that I have in mind. So, I mean,
Me too, pal. Me too.
in terms of the gameplay in the leagues, the way the leagues are set up, they're fine. They're good. It works. It works for me. It's worked for so many people. Just look at the LHL and look at all the guys there. Half of them are played in the RSL at some point, I'm sure. Without even looking at the rosters, I'm sure if you'll just pick randomly, you'll find a guy who played in the RSL. So it works. It takes time, but it works. Yeah,
A lot of
that's where I
people,
stand.
you're talking about the camaraderie aspect, and a lot of people think that that sort of died when we continued to segregate the leagues more and more. So when the affiliation between LHL and RSL teams was officially gone, and then when the JSL was introduced and you have this further segregation, a lot of people
Hmm.
think that that was a big part of the reason why the community started to split more and more. And now instead of knowing everybody, there's, all the JSL guys know each other, all the RSL guys know each other, all the LHL guys know each other, but there's this disconnect between them. Do you think it's the segregation of the leagues like that that is to blame?
Could be. I don't have all the answers for sure, but
Yeah, I'm
that
just
could be
curious
a
for your
piece of it.
opinion.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. That could be part of it, but I don't think it should be part of it. I think as a GM, you have to you have to open up your mind a little bit and consider um, maybe the guy in the lower league could deserve a chance and give him that shot. Don't be biased towards the name. I mean, look at my season right now. Did anybody believe in their wildest dreams that Jeet Lore would be playing the way he's playing right now? And if you want to, turn the clock back a year and look at how he was then. And
Yep.
basically community hated him, and now look where he is. He's top of the scoring ranks, and he's probably going to play LHL next season.
Yeah, he
Um,
started 7 or 8 games in the LHL this season.
yeah, and he's probably going to be a starter next season. And if he isn't, I'd be ashamed of the LHL GMs. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to pick the guy up, and that's one of the examples that I'm trying to make is look down to the other leagues and try to cherry pick those guys. Pick the dudes who did really well, bring them up. I've seen people do really well in a season, and in the following season they're in the same place. One of those guys, I guess, is Germs. Um, Consistently has amazing RSL seasons, and it's like nobody gives him a shot. Now, putting him in the position of the LHL, I don't know what that's like as a GM of the LHL. I don't know what they're seeing in him that I'm not seeing in him, but that's one thing I wish GMs would do. It's something I tried to do this season. I tried to reach down to the JSL, see who I thought was good. I tried to ask around um, some of the JSL GMs, like who do you think is good on your team? Who do you think exudes this confidence? Who could work well in a better position? Who do you want to see in a better position? Um, Try that. As GMs, sometimes you gotta work together. I know it's competitive. I know you really want to beat each other, but consider working together sometimes too. You might find that the game will get better as a whole as well if you do that. I guess that's my opinion on it. Like I said, I don't have the answers. Even if you put me in the position of control, I might not do a better job. And eh, I don't know. It is what
Well,
it is.
that's what I was going to ask you. You seem to have a lot of sort of opinions about the way things should be and the way you'd like things to be.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider running for BOC to try to sort of impart some of that mindset on
Hmm.
maybe even just the other BOC members for a start, maybe the other GMs, and try to hope that that sort of spreads amongst the players on the teams below them?
Yeah, I have thought about it, and I actually did run a couple seasons ago, maybe 3 or 4 seasons ago. But I did it like I didn't really make posts. I just kind of threw my name in the hat just to see what would happen and to see if I get any biters. I did. I got some pretty good, got a pretty good amount of votes. But I don't know. I'm worried about being BOC and that um, I can be a tough person to work for. As a real life manager, I expect a lot of my employees, and I kind of do that to my team right now too. I ride them pretty hard, and it is because I know they could be better than they are in certain situations, and I think I would do that same thing as a BOC. But maybe it's what's necessary at the same time. Maybe they do need, and I'm not saying they're bad. They're not bad at all. Actually, I love the guys in the BOC right now. I think they're fantastic, particularly the RSL, because that's the one I'm most, you know, um, interacting with. Maybe they do need something like that. Some guy had to come in and kind of give them the boot, get them moving. But also kind of coach people on how to deal with angry GMs and GMs who just won't, budge on certain things or trying to rally people and yeah, like you said, impart that wisdom
Yeah.
and idea of just of being a decent person.
Yeah.
Just be a decent guy. So I'm
Let's
thinking about it. I'm thinking I really want a GM right now. I'm liking the GM and stuff, so it's been really good to me this season. I want to give it another shot next season,
Makes
and
sense.
maybe if it doesn't work out, I'll go for BOC. I also have to wait for a position to open, and I don't know if anything is going to open anytime soon. So, we'll see. Maybe the next time one opens, that'll be a good time for me. Maybe in a
Well,
season or two from now. Hmm?
you're still getting to do something fairly similar, and I mean that's kind of like what being a GM anyway, and that's kind of like what management is, right? Like management is about trying to get the most you can within reason out of the people that you have working for you or working with you, right? It's about
Oh,
finding
oh
a
yeah.
way to maximize their performance and
Yes.
make them into the best workers, or in this case, players that they can be. And
Right.
there's a lot of responsibility on you as the manager to understand. And this same thing holds true for coaching too, right? It's on you to understand what the limits are of your players and not just to understand how to motivate them to get there, but to understand, okay, this is when I need to take my foot off the gas, or this is when I really need to step on it a little harder and push them a little more.
Oh yeah.
And you still get to do some of that to a lesser extent, obviously not being BOC, but you still get to do some of that as a coach, as a GM in the position you're in now, which I'm assuming fills a lot of that role for you already.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, as a manager, you have to know probably the biggest foundation you could have as a manager is knowing the strengths and weaknesses of your team, of your employee or your staff or your, whatever you want to call it, the people who report to you in some kind of way. That's probably the most important thing, and knowing that, and then you can use that to drive. You can either use it to push people, or pump the brakes, or consider new ideas. Um, and it all depends on who you do it with and how much you do it with them, and or how little you do it with them. And uh, I understand that. I understand how that works as a GM. As a BOC, it's a little bit bigger, um, for sure. Um, so I don't know. It's another thing of it is that, yeah, I do manage in real life. So do I really want to come home and do it again? Do I want to keep managing when I get home? So GM is a little easier. Like, I only really have to pay attention to it, um, for so many hours a week. As BOC, it's a little bit more involved. You're spending a little bit more time. Um, I am a numbers guy too. I'd probably end up doing something in stats or part of the stats, so that would take up however much time that takes. I know you spend a shitload of time doing it, so.
Yeah, Lewis does most of it for the RSL JSL too. So
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, ah, I'm thinking about it. I'm really, really considering it. Right now, I want a GM. I want to do that. I want to win a cup and get that out of the way. And then we'll talk about actually doing BOC again. But I do have a lot of ideas, a lot of ways to kind of squeeze a little bit more juice out of these fruits.
yep.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, and
um,
I bring it up because you're probably the person with the best background because you've actually done it. I mean, most of the people here that are running the leagues and that are GMs and whatnot, like myself, I've run the league and done GMs or been a GM, right? But all of that is stuff that I had to learn while I did it,
oh
right? Like
yeah,
I never got to be a manager in real life in any situation before
yeah,
to prepare myself for it, right? And it's the same thing that I think a lot of people experience, and it's what makes not just GMing but BOCing too, like overwhelming. Like on the outside, you might not notice that as much, but once you get into that role, it's like the level of expectation and the amount of work required to do the job well is something that a lot of people just don't really comprehend. And you having the experience of doing something not similar but along the same lines, right?
oh
Management,
yeah, yeah.
it really makes it much easier for you to transition into a role like that and be successful
It could.
early on.
It could. Yeah, it very well could. But we'll see. Another thing I have to consider. Sometimes when you have a person that moves into the BOC role, they kind of lose um their likability in the community, and
Yep.
that's something I really like to keep. you know, I like who I am in the community, and I like that a lot of people know me, and there's really not anybody you could bring in and ask them about me, and they'll have something bad to say. Not to sound conceited or anything like that, or full of myself, but I pride myself on being a exemplary person. Somebody that doesn't have any hard feelings about anybody. I've had my moments with people, but I I forget about it. I forgive them. Even like Alter right now. I could give a shit about what happened the other night.
Yeah.
It's over. I don't care. Even the posts, it doesn't matter. If I wanted to TS right now, he was there and we started talking, I would talk to him just like I am talking to you right now. Um, and it goes for all the other guys that I may have, had a spat with at some point. IC is another one who I actually apologize to. So 'cause he got the brunt of it one night. um, but that's something I have to consider. I want to keep that status in the
Yep.
community as somebody people like. So that's hard to
I mean,
do as
that's
BOC. isn't it?
I experienced plenty of that. So
Yeah, sure.
it-
I can
I've quit
remember a few
BOC
times
twice,
myself.
so
I
yeah.
can remember a few times myself
Oh yeah.
looking at you and going, "What the fuck is the matter with this guy?" Like,
Yeah.
but in your case, you learn. Um, I try to remain patient with you and the other guys as well. Um, people learn, and
That's the
you
big
are
thing is
learning.
learning. You're gonna make mistakes. The important thing is learning from the mistake afterwards and being able to
Hmm.
do that, right? Like
Right.
that's to me what the bigger thing is, right? Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
not about harping on somebody for a mistake. They make a
Right.
mistake, it's fine.
Right.
It's how do they respond to that mistake? How do they change their attitude? How do they change their approach
Yeah.
to better themselves moving on down the road? And
Right.
unfortunately, not everybody looks at it that way. And I mean, in my eyes and in your eyes, I think that's the right way to look at it. A lot of people
Yeah.
will harp on the past mistakes or one or two mistakes that impacted them the most, right? And then they latch onto that, and then that becomes the
What
defining moment of that person's career, so to speak,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So yeah, that's
Absolutely.
definitely a big part of the reason why. I mean, we had all the trade veto stuff, right, in the last season that
Oh
I
yeah.
was BOC for. So there's a lot of stuff like that. It's like why I stepped away from the title. It's like it's not worth it. I'll help keep the
Absolutely.
leagues
I
going, but
understand.
it's not worth it, right?
And you've
So
done it for so long. By now, it's you deserved a vacation. You know what I mean? You know, I think you handed off the reins to
uh
decent people. Who runs it nowadays? It's Guy, Tony,
and
BG.
BG, yeah,
Okay, yeah, they're doing good in my opinion. I don't hear any complaints from them, so that's usually a good thing.
yeah, I agree.
I, you know, as a BOC, you have to remember, and you notice, but maybe other people don't notice. As a BOC, you have to remember you're not going to get compliments. I mean,
Oh
few and
yeah,
far between. You're going to get, you know, here and there maybe, but you're only really going to hear the negative things people have to say about you, and it doesn't mean you're doing a bad job. Okay, it's something that you just have to take in stride. People have criticisms for you. Take it,
same thing with
learn
being a
from it.
GM too, though, right? Like it follows that
Oh,
same
sure,
pattern, right? Like people will get on
absolutely.
you when you make that mistake, but if you do a really good job the whole season, who's gonna
Yeah,
know outside of the 10 people on your team,
right. Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. And we've had our moments, you know, on Hartford this season where I probably made the wrong call or made the wrong judgment. Nobody knows that though. You don't know that. We keep that inside. We don't. Nobody knows. Nobody needs to know. You can only see the positive end of it. So it's kind of like the it's the flip of the coin in that sense. I think as a GM, you're going to see the positive. You're going to see the positive things people have to say. As a BOC, you're going to just see the negative things. So remember that as to the BOC currently and whoever else becomes BOC in the future, don't let that, you know, don't let that hang over your head when somebody has something negative to say to you. Take something out of it, learn from it, grow some thick skin, deal with it. You'll make yourself a better person. And all of you are doing a fantastic job. And most of the people that have done BOC in the past, I mean, I can't even. I maybe think of one or two people who didn't do a good job. They've pretty much all done a good job. Like they did
Good
as
enough,
good as
right?
they could do. Yeah, good
Yeah.
enough. As good as they were gonna do. You know, these are all young guys too. They don't have real world experience in a lot of sense. Well, not all of them, but some of them are, and so you have to you remember that at the same time. Like certain things are gonna hit them differently, and that all goes back to just general attitude of people. Again, you have to remember there's a person on the other side of the screen. As BOC, when you make a decision to affect them and affect their game and how it goes, you're affecting the person on the other side of the screen at the same time. And you have to realize that, and you have to be ready for the criticism that you're going to receive as a result. And it's not going to sound good. Sometimes people just are going to fly off the handle, but the core message is going to be there's going to be something there for you to pick up and learn from. So do that. Don't feel so bad about how terrible people treat you.
Oh
It could
yeah.
be worse.
Yep.
It could be worse.
Be a
So,
hell of a lot worse, that's for sure.
so ah, but
All
we'll
right, so
see.
we'll
I
get
don't.
back on track. We'll
Okay.
keep it going with the interview. We got one more question, so that's why I've been keeping you here already for like an hour and 20 minutes, and I feel bad for
That's
that.
fine.
So
No,
I'm
that's fine. I like
trying to
talking to
get
you.
through this for you. So I mean, I'm loving it. I'm loving every second of it. I wish we could do this every night, personally, but it's
We could if you
Yeah,
just
look,
moved
hey
here.
man, if you, I was gonna say if you got on TeamSpeak more, but you're
Oh,
trying to get me
yeah.
to move to New
Well,
York, man. That's
to go back, I do like to be by myself some nights. I do it on Saturdays a lot. I like to just kind of shut myself off from the world and just kind of chill out and you
Clicker
know
Heroes, right? Yeah, just
do my clicker heroes, do my text-based game. Just watch a movie or two and nerd out. So, but yeah, I'll try. I'll try for you. I'll try to get on more.
oh,
Honestly,
what a
if you,
guy.
if you really want me to, I will.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it.
Okay.
All right, so last question. What would you change about the game itself?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question because there's so many opinions for that about the game, how it's played, or not how it's played, but how it's made. Is that really what
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
asking at?
Yeah.
So,
So,
all
like,
right.
would you implement left-handed mode? Would you implement offsides, icing? I think some of the things that Dalfan brought up.
Yes, maybe. I don't know. It's part of me really loves how primitive the game is and how there's so many limitations to it. That actually makes it more fun, believe it or not, to have those limitations. And yeah, as a goaltender, you have dreams of a bigger stick and puck body collision and uh, you know different size nets and different size pucks and all sorts of things like that. And they all sound great, but I don't know. For me, and, and it's not like I would hate the game if it changed in that direction. I really love how just simple the game is at its core, and it's hard without a doubt. Is it hard? Um, but once you start to get the groove of it, it becomes like second nature, and you get used to it. And there's not a lot of games out there that I can think of that are this primitive yet require that much practice and have that much satisfaction to go along with it.
Yep.
Um, so to go back again, it's for me, it's less the game, more the people. Again, I would rather change the people first, then we could talk about changing the game. Um, as a goaltender, yeah, absolutely. I think puck body collision for me is probably the biggest thing. Um, that would be really fun, but it would change the game so much. And uh, I've been really against change in the past. Maybe I shouldn't be because I've been wrong so many times, honestly. About I making RSL 4v4 and then making RSL 5v5 and then uh, getting rid of the affiliations. I actually like the affiliations, believe it or not. So, um, but all of those changes worked out for the better. So I don't know. I'm always going to love the game for what it is right now, and I will probably continue to play it as it is right now, even if there is an upgrade in the future. So I guess that answers it for me. I don't know.
All right.
That sounds disappointing to some people because so many people have so many dreams, especially you. Um, and Dalfan was one of them as well, that have so many dreams about what the game could be if it was improved. And ah, I'm afraid. I'm afraid it would become too easy at some point. And then, and then what? What if we work so hard to achieve? You know?
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? So, I know it's a lackluster answer, but I'm gonna have to stand by it.
All right. Well, that'll do it for me. I am all out of questions. So, any other shout outs you want to give to anyone else? I know we've given a ton over the course of the show
uh,
so far. So,
oh
but
yeah,
any final ones?
absolutely.
Any final ones you want to give?
One last shout out to my boys on Hartford. Let's get this. Let's get into the playoffs and tear it up. Huh? Can we win this damn cup and get it over with? Put these mothers to bed, huh? Can we do that? That's about it for me. Oh, yeah, shout out to Tony, the hat trick, the Doc, to all my boys. Of course,
Season
and to
6
Dial.
Manitoba boys.
Of course, yes.
All right. Well,
I'm sure
thank
we've missed some
you.
people.
Thank you very
Yes.
much for coming on with me. This was a lot of fun, and
Thank you.
hopefully at some point I do plan on months in the future doing a second go around with people. So you're
Sure.
definitely high on that list of people that we'll revisit. There's plenty of other things we can
Oh
get
yeah.
into. So
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
all right, my man. Well, thank you
Yep.
for joining me, and thanks everybody for tuning in.
My pleasure. Have a good night.